Welcome everybody to my next update on my action RPG guide. So in this update, I'm going to talk about the dungeon generator as well as the new tilesets that I made. So one of the big lacking aspects of this game was the dungeons, which is a big deal because this is an action RPG where you're expected to run a lot of dungeons and killing monsters, right? So you don't want the gameplay to feel too repetitive, and making the dungeons look different from each other was a big one. So I decided to work on the dungeon in these 2 weeks. I made 5 different tile sets, which I'm going to show real quick. I'm also going to show a little bit of the dungeon generation improvements that I made to accompany these new tile sets. So this is the snow tile set, as you may see. Every single tile here I made myself. I think I made like 90% of all the decoration and tiles. At first, I thought I wasn't be able to do this because I never made tiles at this scale, but it turns out they look pretty decent. So I decided to just draw them myself instead of buying them. So this is the snow one. You may notice, maybe if you seen one of the previous videos where I showed the dungeon, it was pretty basic and didn't really have anything going for it. Now it can have decoration on the outskirts, which is everything that I'm going to talk about here is you can configure and customize from the pathings here, the patches of dirt or whatever you have, the density. You can configure the density of the decoration inside. You can customize the weighting of every individual decoration, so some of them are more rare than others. You can customize the weighting of the density of the rooms as well as the density of the pathings or the corridors. You can make it so that it generates more open areas like here. So before I only had a more dungeon-like approach where the rooms, you might notice there are still rooms like always. But now I made a flag that allows me to get rid of the inner tiles. So it looks more like an open space, which basically combines multiple rooms into one big one. That's another improvement that I made to make some maps look better. Now I still need to make another generation type, which I'm gonna do way in the future after the alpha, but I think for the alpha this is pretty reasonable and decent. You might notice the environment. You can have custom environments that affect the UI, so things like darkness and so on. So let's generate an array tile set here. Yeah, so I made 5. I think 5 is a good number for the alpha. Considering I made these 5 tile sets in 2 weeks, I think it's pretty reasonable, right? So this is an array tile set. I think I showed this a little bit on the previous video, but it was very basically empty because I didn't have any of these decorations, right? Now you can see it looks a lot more like a desert when you add stuff into here, right? So you can have bigger decorations like this, 2x2s, 2x1s, whatever size you want. The generator actually takes care of that. It tries to fit it in places where it doesn't interfere with padding or other things, right? So this is a air tile set. Now it still looks a lot like rooms, right, in a dungeon. But that's one of the reasons why I said that I needed another generation type, so I can combine the two, and together should be generating more interesting dungeons. So this is the Infernal Temple. I think this is the 3rd one that I made, and this is a more dungeon-like approach. So this doesn't combine the rooms, right? This feels more like an actual dungeon, right? There are still some very rare errors that happen on the generation, but they usually don't really interfere with anything. They don't interfere with pathing or anything, so I'm fine with those. Now this is gonna have a darkness shader, so you cannot see it here, but I'm gonna show it in game later. Now let's show the dungeon one. So this is the first one that I ever made, but I just basically remade everything in here from the tiles to the decorations. Right, so this is the dungeon one. It has a lot of destructible terrain and stuff. I also added a lot of interactables like this, so you can open little chests or little interactable things. The barrels and the bases break, and also they can drop gold and stuff. Right, so this is a dungeon tile set. Now I'm gonna show the forest. This is a work in progress because it's the one that I'm working on right now, and I haven't finished this. So this is the fifth tileset that I have. I'm gonna leave this 5 for the alpha, and after this I'm gonna move on to reworking the town, which I'm working on right now. So I don't know if I can show that. I'm working on reworking the actual workstations and the town and everything, right? So this is work in progress. I still need to add a lot more deco to that. So now let me show you in game some of these maps while I talk about the future and what I'm gonna do next after this dungeon work. So let's get to that. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about the immediate future of the game and the future in the next 4 months or so. So what I need to do next is I'm reworking the hub or the main town where you spend the time outside. I'm reworking that right now. I'm adding buildings, I'm adding NPCs, and I'm just making it more feel like more like a game instead of like a testing room. So you can actually do all your transactions there and stuff. After that, I need to do a big pass on combat, especially game feel and sound effects and all that. Now you may notice on this footage that the monsters now blink a little bit when they get damaged. I think that adds a little bit. But I still need to add things like a little bit of knockback, a lot more sound effects with variation in the pitch, more dead effects. I need to add particles, so when you hit something, it's gonna create some particles that depend on the damage type. I need to add maybe more animations for the player when it casts or it uses a skill. Just more game feel like that. That will be pretty nice. After that, I need to add a lot more monsters. I think that's priority number 1 alongside skills. More monsters and more skills. That's my priority after the dungeon. I need a lot more variety in the monsters so I can spread them out in the biomes if I can. And, you just encounter more and more monsters the more level you get. So I'm going to spread them out by level. So at certain thresholds, you're going to start seeing certain monster types. Yeah, you can see here on the background the town is currently work in progress, right? Yeah, I'm gonna finish this town. I'm gonna work on the monsters, on the combat, more skills. I'm gonna need more enhancements. After that, I'm gonna work on the passives. I need more passive trees. So right now the passive tree is pretty bare bones. It doesn't really support any archetype in specific. So I need to add more stuff. Yeah, you can see here on the background too the light shader. This is the shader that I figured out finally how to make it work. So I don't have to use the default Godot lighting system, which overlaps the lights, and they don't really have this pixel art style here. So now I can have radiating lights like this from fire sources and whatnot. I can have layouts or dungeons that have darkness like this one. What's next? I think after that, it's just gonna be a matter of improving on the systems that I already have or adding more stuff to there. So I have planned an alpha within the next 4 months, which is just gonna be for testing the core gameplay loop and the main mechanics, right? Up to maybe up to level 30 or so. Because again, balance is gonna be really difficult, so I don't really plan on releasing. I'm gonna balance up to level 30 or so, and then after that we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna need more encounters like this imprisoned guys. A lot more encounters that you can find on the dungeon with cool mechanics and custom interactions and so on. More trees for those interactions on the progression system. More bounty types. I'm gonna need a quest system for the future because I'm gonna add a campaign maybe on release. I'm still not sure if I'm gonna be able to finish it, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, I think that's it. See you everybody on the next update in 2 weeks, hopefully with more monsters and this town finished. Take care and see you in the next one.